ask this all in the name of your son, Jesus. Amen.
I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So quick note here on the recognition of the public. As everybody knows or may not know, we have this meeting is stacked up with our full commission meeting in an hour. So in the interest of time, what I'm going to do here is limit individual comments, and I hate doing this, but I'm going to limit individual comments to 3 minutes per, and then limit total comments to 15 minutes. But recognizing as best as possible let folks have their voice heard. At the end of the recognition of the public, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask folks, what I was going to do is have the gallery say yea or nay, but I think Mr. Cobb would be against that. So what I'm going to do is have folks in favor raise their hand and against. Raise their hand so everybody can at least in that manner have your voice heard. Again, apologies for having to limit here, but we are on a clock. So, with that in mind, Ms. Laura Baker, and if you could please speak in this location as opposed to the podium, because we're on the hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Laura Baker, 424 A.B. Lee Road, Portland. I was asking myself as I'm thinking about this meeting and after last Friday night, what I could do most for you. And when I woke up the wee hours in the morning, all I could think of was to pray. Pray for strength and conviction for all of you. That's because you have a really hard decision tonight. It's a no-win situation. And when I went through my prayers, as I pictured each one of you that asked for that strength and conviction, I went to my daily Bible study. In today's reading, and one from the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." But he said to him, "Man, who made me a judge or an arbitrator over you?" And he said to them, "Take heed and beware of covetousness, for one's life does not consist of the abundance of the things he possesses." Then he spoke a parable to them, saying, "The ground of a certain rich man yielded plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, What shall I do, since I have no room to store my crops? So he said, I will do this. I will pull down my barns and build greater, and there I will store all my crops and all my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, you have many goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "Fool, this night your soul will be required of you. Then whose will those things be when you have which you have provided? So is he who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God." That really struck me. I think it's beyond coincidence that when you have these readings that hit you like that, because that's a lot of what I heard on Friday night. And somebody very politically savvy, I won't name names here, said that this situation's been played perfectly. So the question is, what was played perfectly? I'd say creating an emergency, not letting the emergency go to waste, and then exploiting base emotions of covetousness and envy. We've seen this playbook before. More importantly, who's been played? I'd say the parents and the students, the taxpayers, and all of you, unfortunately, by a lack of truth and honesty. And frankly, a lot of us are just sick and tired of it. I empathize more than I can tell you with your situation. You're being blamed and put into this situation because of a situation that has gone on for decades. This is not an emergency. Funds do not need to be transferred out of reserves. This is not being handled the way it should be. And just like everything else, this is not an either or. That does not mean that we don't want the situation fixed. But it should be restricted to the emergency situation. We have a lot of other needs. Our teachers aren't paid the way that they should be, and we know that. We're going to be forced into it by state law. But really why I'm here to say is that I'm praying for you all night tonight, through this meeting and the next. You've got tough decisions to make, and thank you for doing that and stepping up for the citizens. And I wish people would go to the school board and think about things here instead of blaming all of you. This has been dumped into your lap. And again, I think it's a no-win, and My prayers for you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Stan Jones, going back on Mr. Isaac.
Thank you. I'm Stan Jones. I live at 1024 Heathrow Drive. I want to speak in favor of the transfer of the available funds reserved to the stadium and facilities improvements. My wife and I have 3 sons. All 3 attended beach schools. Our oldest graduated in 2014. Our youngest graduated in 2019. Our oldest 2 played varsity baseball. Our youngest was valedictorian there. We have great memories and experience with Beach High School. I've had the honor and the privilege to serve as a volunteer assistant coach with the boys and girls track team for the past 2 years. I'm impressed with the caliber of students in the track and field program. Beach it's never had a regulation track in its 43 years of existence. They've always had to train at other schools. They've never had the benefit of training on their own track. They've never had the benefit of hosting a meet. They've never had the benefit of collecting gate fees. They've never had the benefit of collecting the monies from a snack stand. In the times that I have coached there, just in 2 short years, which I think the 43 years, that is students, athletes, parents, and coaches who have always had to go train somewhere else. And our time there with our sons in baseball, for the 6 years I was affiliated with the beach baseball program, we went through a stadium revamp, and parents donated monies to replace the stadium seats at the baseball field, which were being replaced to replace the seats that were furnished by hand-me-downs from MTSU. My understanding is this football stadium was built and paid for back in 1980 by parents, and then the county has really never paid for that. I had a conversation today with Ms. Miller, the commissioner here, and thank you for your time and participating in that conversation. But Ms. Miller said something to me that concerned me, because we're talking about the football stadium and the potential of having a track incorporated into either the design, the construction, the layout, either with the stadium or up on the hill, contemporaneous as a cost savings to the county. And Ms. Miller said, Stan, she said, you know, the reality is there's only 3 sports that are important in Sumner County high schools. And I was shocked, because that gives the inference or the indication of the potential of a Title IX violation, which is against the law, which is what my response was to Ms. Miller. To have 3 sports that are important and the others are neglected is against the law. And that's the way the track team feels. There are girls here that are on beaches across the country, which today in regional competition, the top 9 runners in regional competition, 6 were from Beach High School. There are students there that are contending for NCAA Division I scholarships in track and field, and they've never had their own track. And I want to ask you at this point in time, if it's at all feasible, combine these 2, because they are greatly needed. And I'm curious, Ms. Miller, if you'd like to go on the record and say what 3 top sports. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Isaac and Mr. Charles, thank you on that.
Isaac Berry, 1671, Highway 51. Good evening, my name is Isaac Berry. I'm a senior at Portland High School, and I'm a part of the football team and the speech team. Throughout my 6 years of playing Portland football, every home game has been at Egler Johnson Stadium. The stadium has played a big role in my athletics through high school, and has become a place that all those football players, paid performers, students, and family can call home. The decision to condemn the home stadium bleachers not only affected the players, but the band and the spectators. In the town of Portland, they love and support our football team through thick and thin. The condemnation, I know, is definitely a different experience for our fans to sit on the opposite side of bleachers, since I have to sit on the west side. One of my parents' favorite things is getting to watch my football games. A parent shouldn't have to worry if they have to find a good seat to watch the game. But with limited bleacher space on the away side, visiting parents may not get a seat needed to watch their children with a good view. The decision not only affects us in Portland, but those that decide to come and watch us play. Sports are an important part of my high school experience. It taught me how to work together as a team, build relationships, and be a part of something bigger than myself. Sports are something that is important to the majority of people, whether they are on a sports team or not. The students love coming together to support one another, and sports are a way for all of us to connect. Without the correct stadium seating, it affects students' experiences in high school. So I ask on behalf of the community of Portland and Sumner County that you vote to transfer the money from the reserve account to allow schools to replace the condemned bleachers. We have a reserve account for this reason. If we have the money to replace them, then they should be replaced. Over $104 million was spent on Liberty Creek High School, which also included a football stadium. Why should Liberty Creek get special treatment compared to other schools? Every other school in the county had to raise money to pay for their own stadiums, in which, if we had the money for, which we do, we need y'all's approval. Liberty Creek has state-of-the-art facilities, while on the other hand, many schools in the county have many issues such as air conditioning and plumbing. I have nothing against Liberty Creek High School, and I think it's a beautiful school, but I ask that y'all give us a chance to improve our own facilities. Portland, being the majority of working-class citizens, pays taxes every year to pay for things such as education and roads. We have a right for the money that should be used in ways to improve our lives. So I ask on behalf of the city of Portland to vote in favor of the money transfer to replace our home stands. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Charles Eagood and Ms. Anthony Geary.
I'm Charles Higgin, I live at 225 South Thompson Road in the Beach community. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I want to thank the Budget Committee for hearing this process out. We had a unanimous vote in the school board just 3 or 4 weeks ago. And then on Friday night, the Education Committee approved by a vote of 5-1 to move this forward. What an incredible sight we have here tonight. For once, I think we're all on the same team, or most of us are tonight. We try to kick each other's butts on Friday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, every other night of the week. But tonight, we are all together, I believe, as one team. And it's a beautiful sight for me as a long-term Sumner County. But what I hope is that you as elected officials come together, despite your differences, and maybe trying to kick each other's butts at times, and come together in a unified way, work together to sort this out. I said the other night in the Education Committee, there's been enough rhetoric around this to equal 3 presidential elections. And we know how that goes. I think most of us do. It almost feels like we're in this trifecta between the school board and the commission and the leadership of our county school system. We're the innocent victims in all this. Our kids are the innocent victims in all this. When are we going to put those differences aside, be grown-ups, have a conversation, and work through this? I would hope that we're all bigger than this. I'm proud of our county, but there's times when I'm quite frankly embarrassed by some of the behavior that I see amongst our elected officials. I'd also like to think that safety is of paramount importance to all of you. You know, I was thinking the other day about, being a commissioner and voting against the safety of our facilities and having to look these parents in the eye that says, I'm so sorry, we didn't move forward with these facilities, some 40, 50, 70 years old, and say, I'm so sorry, we didn't support this, and I'm sorry that you lost a child or a student. I'm sorry that you lost your mom or dad as a result of this. So we need to move forward, if for no other reason than for the safety of our kids. Now, I've heard, and I so appreciate the opening and the devotion. God knows I need it probably more than anyone in this room. But we're talking about the safety of our kids here. I don't think we want to be militant or crazy about this. We've been patient at Beach especially, for 42 years. We've collected our facilities, the parents made the investment, and the county's been the beneficiary of that on the backs of the parents and the fundraisers. So I would hope that we can move forward, the county can make an investment. As our opening speaker said, this is not an emergency, then what is going to propel us to action? Thank you very much. Appreciate it, and I hope that you guys will move forward with this one to move the funds.
Thank you, sir. This will be, you'll be the last speaker again. I will take a poll at the end of this. Apologize earlier for not letting everybody speak.
I'm gonna speak. I'm not going to speak about mutual aid agreement,
You're out of order,
school.
sir.
I'm not out of order. I came up
Sir,
here
you're out of
at
order.
4:30 to get here. You cut me off.
Sir, you were.
You know that I have lawsuits
sir,
against y'all personally. You know that.
Sir, you're out
You
of
should be
order.
ashamed of yourself for holding clean water for Westmoreland Elementary.
Sir, you're
Interlocal agreement, our children at Beach and TW are unsafe. I'm leaving. I said what I need to say. These are tax-paying people. Y'all have no right.
Ma'am, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you all for being here tonight. I've spoken every meeting I get a chance to speak at because our kids, quite frankly, first I've been hearing, I live at 701 Emily Drive, but quite frankly, our kids are worth it, and I will advocate for them every chance I get. I'm the mom of 4 students at Beach. I had 2 at Beach High School, 2 at TW Hunter, all of whom are student athletes. We have benefited greatly from the Chappell Island community and from the athletics our kids play. The other night, I spoke about integrity, and I meant what I said. Integrity is when your values, your actions, and your words are in alignment. And from what I've witnessed from everyone finger pointing, they are not in line. And our kids are sick of footing the bill for you all. Taxpayers, every parent in here is one of them. And we all want you to spend our money on our children. That's what we need you to do. Everyone wants to know what wasn't done previously. Again, fantastic question. No one of us can answer that question. We can't undo that it didn't get done before, but what we can do is do the right thing going forward, and we all have an obligation to do that. And it really doesn't matter at this point. We can't change our response. We have the money to do that. The scare tactic of raising our taxes is not going to work. Doing the right thing will always be the right thing. And I would like every one of our student athletes in here to raise their hands.
Ma'am, you're out of order.
Now, you look them in the eye and tell them they're not worth doing the right thing.
We're at times, we already took the poll, I guess, but I was going to ask everybody here if they would raise their hands. If you are in favor of this, please raise your hand. If you are opposed, please raise your hand. Look, it takes bravery to stand against the crowd. So the people over there who have 2 or 3 hands, it takes bravery to come here, and it takes bravery to stand against the crowd too. So we appreciate everybody's comments, everybody's hands. Thank you. Report of the budget, Chairman, I have no report. New business, athletic improvements, so I'll entertain a motion to discuss.
So moved. Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Anybody want to get in queue? Mr. Mansfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had an opportunity to go out and meet with representatives from Beach as well as Hendersonville at their facilities and spend some time there. I was pleased to hear them say that they understand there's a difference between emergent needs and their ask in long-term planning, and that they were willing to separate those things out into a phase 0. I appreciate the sentiment from the commissioner from the 21st District in his communication with his constituents, emphasizing a desire for a phase 1A versus in a phase 1B. And just, so I do appreciate the willingness of the community and understanding the breakdown of those issues. I've had an opportunity I've had a lot of school, I'll say representatives in the system reach out to me countywide, outside of high schools and outside the southern end of the county. And here are some of the concerns that I took notes of, just wanted to get that on the record. One thing that was noted to me is that we have 40 other schools in the county besides high schools, and taxpayers are being asked to embark on what could be a $50 million or more plan for athletic facility upgrades over the next several years, which does not include schools outside of 7 of them. These representatives from the schools are asking, how will we meet those other schools' needs, much less the need to build new schools that are needed because of irresponsible growth in the cities that has been occurring for years. Take Station Camp, for example, as an example brought up to me by someone from the schools. The roof issue lingered unresolved for these 4 years, and the basketball court suffered collateral damage. Similar unaddressed needs and problems are scattered throughout the school system. They're requesting, these representatives in the schools that have reached out to me anonymously and privately for retribution. They are simply requesting someone from the schools in the county take a comprehensive look at across the county, representative from all K through 12 schools and facilities to determine where are our greatest needs. So the bulk of this $15.8 million request is earmarked for particularly 2 campuses at the moment. And this was brought to my attention again from people outside of the southern end of the county. These school representatives told me that athletic facility upgrades do not necessarily reflect our county's most critical overall needs. Nobody likes talking about fixing the less visible items such as AC units or ADA compliant playgrounds. They don't quite get the visibility that other things do. So next steps, what these representatives, individuals have asked of me to announce to us to think about comprehensively, Mr. Chairman, is just what is a comprehensive review? Somebody to do a review of what the greatest needs are in the school system and where the greatest needs lies for all schools, not just 7 of them. And they want to know specifically where money's going to be spent, how it's going to be used, and they are saying fix the problem. Right now, that immediate problem is fixing broken bleachers. And so one thing that I've looked at is that, and it was said at the school board meeting, there's $1.6 million currently unallocated from the funds, school's capital projects fund. There's also a capital expenditure that I've seen for LED lights at Station Camp High and Rucker Stewart Middle for $615,000 that the school board could hold off on for right now. And that plus this $1.6 million that they have currently available unallocated comes to about $2.15 million. So one thing that I've heard clearly from people is to fix the problem, but also take the things that did exist during the budget cycle in June and do those properly as far as planning out needs. And so I'm going to make a motion that has 3 parts, and Mr. Moderator, I'll give this to you afterwards so you can, don't have to worry about too much. But so my first part of my motion is to approve $8.8 million out of the unassigned fund balance in the capital projects for bleacher repairs or replacements as originally presented to the school board in September for White House, Portland, Beach, and Hendersonville. Second part of my motion is to request a monthly report, and that's a request, to the Education Committee for a breakdown of specific plans for repairs or replacements of bleachers, estimates, costs, associated contracts and agreements, and any other materials requested by the Commission in a timely manner before any future requests for additional funding for athletic facility improvements will be considered. Third part of my request is request the school board, and this is a request from those within the system, that the school board create a 1-year plan that meets the greatest educational needs countywide, including new schools and identifying those. Prioritize first over athletic facilities, then work on a 2-, 3-, and 5-year plans for everything else, and work that plan over a 10-year period. And I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second. Are you speaking to the motion or just on discussion? Discussion. Okay, well, we have a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to try to be real quick with this. I think everybody knows, or if they don't know where I stand on the bleachers, ought to go to WKRN Channel 2 News and see my interview that I did. I'm all for it. I'm hearing concerns from citizens that there's some stuff that's really wants that they don't necessarily need right away. There was some concerns by citizens. I'm going to briefly touch upon the track at Station Camp High School. had some citizens concerned that this thing was really far gone. So I decided, I had talked with some in the community, and like I said, Friday night, it was brought to my attention kind of late in the game to the meeting, so I didn't really have time to look at it. So Sunday afternoon, I decided to take a drive over to Station Dam High School, take a look at what the concerns were of the citizens on this track. When I got there, I started walking around. I observed a lot of cracks in it. And I'm not talking about, hairline cracks. These were significant enough that if you were running and your shoe just hit wrong, you face planted into the part of the track. And this is some of the stuff I know people don't want to hear, but, to be fair, they're asking why is this being brought up with the bleachers? Well, these people, what I learned, were bringing up these concerns for many years and felt that this was part of the school board. And I'm not pointing fingers, I'm just telling you what they were telling me, is that this was part of the school board neglecting them and then concentrating on more things like Liberty Creek. So when I got there, I went to the building that was behind the tracks because I noticed some vehicles there. I said, well, I don't want to be walking around on school property if there's some personnel there, and they might wonder what I'm doing there. So I met with Coach Dean over there, and I asked him just to walk me through briefly what's going on with some of his concerns. And I didn't, for the record, I didn't share where I stood politically. I wasn't interested in that. I was just there. I wasn't even expecting him to be there, so I was just there to look. And he shared some concerns with me. And the bottom line is, why are they pushing for a rubber track? He said, well, not only for safety's sake, it's going to outlast blacktop. It's not going to crack. The current problems we're having with the irrigation system is leaking. And so he brought me to an area just in front of the baseball diamonds and demonstrated what he was talking about. Turned on the water. Within 30 seconds, you could see the water coming up through the blacktop. With all that said, I'm just here, this is a problem, and no one wants to hear it on either side. When you build a campus like Liberty Creek, you're going to create jealousy and envy. I mean, that's just the truth. I spoke to some school board members, and they felt like, well, maybe they could get this taken care of in other ways without having to use the 15.5, maybe cap on that way. It is on a high priority on the two school board members I talked to. And real quick, I did take a drive over to Gallatin High School because I was real curious to see what the condition was in their track, and I'll be honest with you. I didn't even really need to get out of my car to look at it, but I did. Within 10 seconds, I could tell that it was all chopped up, looked like somebody chewed on the pavement. I mean, it was just pitiful. And I can see why citizens are upset because these things are being neglected. Briefly with Beach, we went for a meeting with other commissioners, met with the principal there, and I can tell you that, there's a lot of finger pointing out there, and I don't like it. I've done my best to stay out of that, but everything they're asking for Beach High School is very reasonable and practical. I got some criticism about supporting them relocating the restrooms. Well, they're under the bleachers right now. Anyone that has a daughter, I don't mean to sound, sexist when I say this, but you got a daughter, you don't want them going under bleachers to use a restroom for security reasons. So I want them to say that's I thought everything they said that night was reasonable, relocating the restrooms where they wanted to. And that's all I wanted to say. I did promise the citizens that I would mention this tonight.
Anybody else want to get through?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I know it is safe to say that there isn't a person in this room that isn't in favor of repairing or replacing bleachers that are dangerous or outdated, and that all of the things that are mentioned in the list that have been submitted to the total of $15.5 million are needed. But there is a right way and a wrong way to do things. I visited the stadium at Hendersonville High School last Friday with several other commissioners, and it's evident that there needs some serious work to be done there. But what started out as the visitor side of Beach High School collapsing in the middle of the night has turned into a request for the greatest rehabilitation of athletic infrastructure this county has ever seen. Furthermore, it appears that the Sumner School Administration would like to bypass most of the prudent steps that would normally be executed in a situation like this in the interest of urgency. Never in my life as a land developer have I seen such abandonment of sensible land development and infrastructure practices. Years of neglect and lack of inspection and maintenance have brought us to a point where in one fell swoop, we must have seating for 5 football stadiums, 2 new track and field running tracks, and all the flatboard paving, press boxes, storage facilities, and bathrooms that go with it. This all must be done before August of 2024, roughly 9 months from now. I don't believe this is possible. Every set of bleachers is different, should be assessed as its own entity. We have not even pursued repairing or reinforcing existing structures. If properly analyzed, we very possibly could rebuild quicker and for less money. Where is the concern for the taxpayers' money? Where is the value engineering for the most cost-effective designs for these facilities? Where is the planning and budgeting for all of this? We have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of precast, pre-stressed panels that have a life expectancy of possibly 100 years that could be reused. But that's apparently not the plan. Bring in the dozers, knock it all to the ground, haul it off to the landfill, which is running out quickly, and build new galvanized sheet metal bleachers that may have half the lifespan of the concrete ones. We've been told that without any designs nor call out of what is needed, we need the money to be pulled out right now in order to get in the queue. The truth is, contractors don't check to see if the money has been allocated when they are making bids on projects. I checked this today. Plans for designs haven't even been started yet. We are months down the road from needing to spend any substantial money. We have a letter from another engineer who believes we can repair some of these bleachers in place. I'm in favor of getting a second opinion. Truly, the issue here, as far as reserved funds, is about repairing the damaged or condemned bleachers. I suggest that we defer until...
Is that a motion? Are you making a motion?
I'm making a motion to defer for 1 month in order for the proper structural engineering analysis to be done on each individual stadium so that we can do the most cost-effective job for the people and do the best job possible for the schools, the students, and the administration. I so move.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'm going to keep this going. Anybody wants to get on this one? I'm going to keep. All right, I'll get you next. So, here's my take on this. I'm against this, and I'll tell you why. So, I came back here a couple weeks ago and started assessing the ask, and ultimately, the Education Committee asked Dr. Langford for a breakdown. He provided a breakdown. We can argue up and down exactly what that number is. In my mind, there's solving the problem at hand, and then there are the things that kind of added on in particular tracks. Not saying the tracks don't need to be resolved, but I'm probably for that, but that needs to be done in a typical budget cycle. However, we have 4 condemned facilities. Where I'm concerned about this amendment is that we're somewhat overstepping what the school board's authority here. At the end of the day, it's not our job to do the details of the individual assessments for schools. There's a whole different organization that does that, set that law. We could prove something or nothing. We could prove, $15 million, $8 million, and ostensibly for athletic facilities, and Dr. Langford could build a little statue of himself. I'm not saying you do that, but you could by law. That's just the way it is. So we don't really have much authority over that. And to attempt to kind of inflict our own processes on another body that is by law independent of us I think it's over 7 against it.
I'm going to kind of echo some of what you're saying. To be fair, and I made this very clear to citizens that were concerned about this. I gave them plenty of opportunity, whether it be social media, text messages, phone calls, etc. They asked me after the first meeting, what do you need to move the ball forward? I said, I need estimates, scope of work, bids. I also made it clear estimates are just that, estimates. And also made it clear too that at the end of the day, I can make any recommendation I want, replace, repair, etc. It's not in my purview as a commissioner to do that. That's just blatantly the truth. Whether some people want to hear that or not, that's the truth. And like to your point, we can give him the money and he can build a golden statue of himself. I mean,
What
so,
about Merrill White Magnet School?
Ma'am, you're out of order.
I know.
yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, for us to sit here and make recommendations on second opinions and getting other companies, ultimately the school board's going to have to do their due diligence and decide that if they're going to repair or replace.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Anybody else want to give you? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So, I have a question. I was a little out of town stuff. You said everything's condemned, you said condemned prepared. I read before condemned prepared. I didn't read condemned. But maybe I missed them.
Well, you know, what I'm trying to, I'm referring to,
There's a lot of documents floating around, and I just want to be sure that I'm clear. Did I miss something?
Go ahead. I don't know. We have facilities that can't be used.
Okay. I thought I missed something. There's so many documents floating around. I'm Commissioner from District 13. It's North Gallatin. When I went door knocking,
Ma'am, please.
I asked them. I said, what do you need? They didn't say they need sports equipment. They said they needed food. I worked for the drugs there. They said they wanted someplace to rent because the rent's going up. They're getting kicked out. Yeah, I want the tracks fixed. I don't understand why the school hasn't fixed it. I have no idea. But what I do know is my district can't afford the rent. So I'll be voting to support my district tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Brown.
We had a report, and that there was no condemnation or any glitch. They said the estimates that we got were nothing but demolish and replace. But in the report and the inspection said that could be demolished and replaced or major repair. Now, when we're looking at the timeline like we are, the 9 months that we're looking at, you're not going to get the kind of turnaround steel, aluminum that we think we're going to get. Stuff that it's not going to be sitting on the shelves in these warehouses. It's going to have to be fabricated. Because we're in a supply chain mess right now. Have been for about 2 or 3 years. Ever since the Wuhan virus took over. So if we're going to look at that as a reason, repair is the best reason. As Commissioner Klein pointed out, these are pre-stressed concrete slabs, C modules. And they are there for 100 years. It's the mess that's underneath there. It's the piers, it's the walls, those things that have not been sealed, the joints in between the C modules, the concrete itself has not been sealed. And then when we were at beach, we saw where the salt had leached through the wall, and then put the brick facade on there, it leached through the brick facade too. So that shows that there's not proper maintenance, hasn't been for decades. And that's the issue that we're looking at. We want to fix these things, but we want to do it in an efficient and timely manner. And to demolish, what I heard was Friday night, we're only going to be able to do one school at a time if we demolish and replace. And I just don't see how in the world we're going to get all these schools. Supposedly now, I heard also that the stands are gone at Portland. The aluminum's gone, what the parents bought. So, I don't know where we're going to go with that. If they've lost their stadium, as far as that goes. But we cannot do something that is going to be costly. And again, Commissioner Boyd brought up back on the state website where the MOE test was done by the state. We funded over $60 million over the MOE, the maintenance of effort, the thing that we are required to do by the state. $60 million. Where is it? That was just this year. There is so much money floating around. Commissioner Graham testified he saw $9 million in reserves. We can't see that. All we can see is $29.9 million in reserves. What's the truth? That is what we don't have. We don't have transparency. We've got to get some transparency as far as this is concerned with the school board before we turn loose more money. Thank you.
Ms. Long, I do have one question for you. Well, does anybody else have you? Ms. Long, just one note. Actually, no, I'll hold my question until after we take this vote. Does anybody else have a queue? Go ahead, Ms. Long.
Mr. Chairman, I'd respectfully like to push back a little bit on what you said earlier. My concern is that we can't get it all done in a short period of time. That with what's in the reserve account right now, which is about $8,000 over what is required for a 2-month supply, that we could be definitely triggering a property tax increase, and that the ability to save funds by taking 1 month's time to do real analysis of structural integrity of what's there and how that could be improved could save us time, money, and get the schools what they need by the next season. I really believe this is a possibility. We're not going to be spending millions and millions of dollars in the next month anyway. Would it not be prudent to get a second opinion from another structural engineer, or to analyze each school on its own merit? I realize that we are not in a position to tell the schools what to do, so this is a request of the superintendent. But with my experience as a builder, what we're doing right now, or what they're doing, is the wrong way to approach this. And there's a much better, quicker, fiscally responsible way to do it.
Ms. Long, Mr. Brown, then we can keep on that question. Ms. Long, go ahead.
While I was down there in Chattanooga getting the continuing education that we have to have as elected representatives, I did take the estimate around. And again, the estimate is demolish and replace only. And that never addresses, if we had had a column demolish and replace versus maybe repair, I wouldn't probably have shopped it around. We would have seen that. Because that's, again, more feasible. Feasible time-wise and monetarily. But I do have an engineer that's willing to come in here and do that. I asked Director Langford if he would have access to the sites. And I haven't gotten an answer on that. He said he'd have to run that by the school board. But we're talking about a lot of money here, and we're talking about a lot of lives, safety-wise. We want something that's functional, something that's safe, and something that's gonna last a while. And, yeah, we can build monuments, but I don't see galvanized steel lasting that long. And aluminum will last, but it can crack also. It can fracture. But, I was a teacher in Metro. I was a track coach. I was a cross-country coach also. And it's, as far as the 3 major sports, I was not part of that. Nobody really went to those sports. And down there, all of the structures are poured concrete with reinforcement and steel. And therefore, they're there for a long time. I disagree with the fact that concrete can last a long time, especially if taken care of properly. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Warren, I think we've got one question for you, and I think I'll ask you, it's just a simple question. In your estimate, does this movement, does this transfer of funds change or alter our maintenance of effort requirements to the school?
It will not change your maintenance of effort requirements, because the maintenance of effort requirements is that the county commission shall not budget less local revenues than it did in the prior year's budget. That is the requirements of maintenance of effort.
Thank you, sir. Any other review? Okay, I'll go ahead and take a vote. And this is a vote on the amendment. Which is your amendment, Mr. Warren?
Amendment is to defer the vote for 1 month for the school district to do due diligence with engineers on a repair versus demolishing and new rebuild.
Got it. All in favor of this, please say aye.
Aye.
That was, raise your hand, please. So we have 3. All the noes?
No.
No. 1, 2, 3, 4. Motion does not carry. We're back on the main, and the main is, Mr. Answer, please restate. Oh, I'll restate for you. It's 3 parts to approve 8.8 million for immediate use. This was the sum of all the requests from the schools which were needed to fix and or replace the facilities which are not usable now. Apologies for using the phrase condemned earlier. To request a monthly report on the status of that once started, and then to request a prioritized list of needs for the next, or plan for the next budget, post the next budget cycle. Is that correct? Any other discussion on this? Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, if you're aye, raise your hand. If you're no, raise your hand. Motion carries. One motion left. Second. All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned.